Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and there's also a PayPal link in the info box below the video once it's rendered. But most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Sleeping Warrior, Arwin, and Ranty Flat Earth. Good to have you all.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Anthony's
Riley there?
Has he vanished?
I think so.
Well, we'll crack on without him. So, any signs of curvature, gentlemen?
Nope.
No.
Signs of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
No, again.
Any scientific evidence of gravity?
No. Are we? Housekeeping. Any signs of gravity?
No, any scientific evidence? You're doing an Anthony, aren't you, Ranty? Any proof for the distance to the sun?
No.
What about any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
No.
It's too much presupposition.
Too many presuppositions, did you say? You're a bit quiet, Arwin.
I said it's too many presupposition.
Indeed it is.
Maybe there's something molten down there, but it's not a core. It's definitely not the center of a Earth, because then it has to be a ball. Ball has a center.
Yeah, you definitely need some of the presupposition itself. So is there any evidence of that? Any evidence of the presupposition that we have an Earth radius?
Nope.
That's a contradiction in turn.
Any evidence of R?
No. And the thing is, water that is flat breaks all the sciences in regards to the ball Earth model, because you cannot have flat water. So anything that you see that doesn't conform to the curve calculator is a hologram and has to be so.
Fair enough. Any evidence that you can have a gas pressure without a container? You got to let them come through. You got to. I don't want them cut off, Anthony, just because I know it's funny. But for any
evidence
audience,
of gas pressure.
I just want the audience to actually hear the question, though. So I'm going to repeat it. Calm yourselves. Calm yourselves. Any evidence that you can have a gas pressure without a container?
No.
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 I do have an update for you on that point, though.
Gas pressure without a
Conspiracy Cat's
container?
got in touch with me last night, and I asked him, why is it that you're not answering the question? I said, you can't plead that he's bullying you personally if he keeps asking you a scientific question over and over and over again. And he said, because he's growing my channel by all this attention. And I'm like, your channel will grow automatically by responding to it and getting engaged in it. I said, by not doing it makes you look like you're being disingenuous. Why don't you just answer him? If there's an answer that you believe supports your position, give him it. I said, because the response will create your attention. I said, but by not doing it, it makes you look disingenuous. What's going on? So he's promised me that he's going to do you a short response, which is, if you'll answer some questions of his, he'll then give you your answer. And I'm like,
there you go. Hold on. If that's a question, the answer's no. I don't care what you want, conspiracy cats. How do you have gas pressure without a container? You claim to be a man of science. You're teaching children. Give me an answer. If you don't give me an answer, no problem. I'll just keep asking. As for me giving you anything, no.
So all I'm letting you know is that there may actually be a response in the next couple of days. May not will be, but may.
In May, it's gonna take
In May.
Yeah.
No. Whenever it comes, we'll scrutinise it.
Right.
So,
any signs of M. Scott Veach?
oh, there might be. Are we finished with housekeeping though? I wouldn't want to interrupt the flow.
Well, no, Arwin's right. I did agree. We'd since a couple of weeks ago he disappeared without trace, backed up by a few ballers that are actually in touch with him, namely the rig. Yeah, I think that's fair to have on the housekeeping. So, any signs of M. Scott Veach?
There is actually, yeah.
Well, hang on. What about Bill Miller?
I didn't expect that to be a yes answer. Fair enough.
Now, Bill Miller was found.
They found Bill Miller.
Yeah,
Was it the
Bill
chat?
he
Miller
was
now.
in chat the other day.
Oh, was he? Right. Okay.
Yeah. Bill Miller now exists. He's a fully fledged, 100% bona fide
Is he a flat earther though?
YouTube account holder. Well, what I'm going to do, I'll screen share. I've got 2 points to make. I'll come to M. Scott Veach second, because what I want to do is address this bit. Let me know what we're sharing, Nath.
Yep, you're on.
So where is roadster.com? This is Starman. I didn't know what had happened to Starman. I thought Starman was like me. I thought he was supposed to be on his journey to Mars. I didn't know whether he'd crashed landed in Mars and no one had missed it in the news or whatever. I wanted to find out what the situation was with Starman. So I did a bit of research and found this particular website. And my point of this citation is to show that a website that gives you information doesn't necessarily mean it's true. And this is a good example of where the information is probably accurate because they've got their model down to a T in some respects. It's probably accurate that where they put this marker is probably the right distance from the sun, and it's probably the right distance from Mars, and it's probably all this stuff that in here is factually accurate. But what's interesting is in the article it says it's achieved a fuel economy of 2,400 miles to the gallon, and that instantly is an issue because we all know it's an electric car, right? It's not a petrol car, so it says that. But it does also say assuming 126,000 gallons of fuel, but that's like assuming R. So just draw the parallels. So if we assume that the car's petrol, then that's how much economy it's done. But we know it's electric, right? If it's true at all. So assuming R would mean a lot of radius-related geometric calculations too. So the parallel I'm drawing is that if we assume petrol, therefore miles to the gallon, in the same way that if we assume R, therefore 93 million miles sun. Or if we assume Venus to be the same size as Earth, therefore 93 million miles sun. See where I'm going with this? But it's only when you realize that there's a typographical mistake in the article. It says the vehicle has traveled, but they've only spelt it with one L. Now, instantly, that's a credibility issue, right? All right, it's only a typo. But again, it's a credibility issue. If it was a credible citation, it'd be accurate. So the point is that all of the figures are probably accurate in here. But if you presuppose a couple of the factors, and this is, of course, assuming that this thing is actually up there, then this all makes sense. But if you look at it and laugh the way we do, it's in the bin. And the point is that even in itself, like a typographical mistake, it removes credibility from the citation source. So if you believe Starman and you believe that it can be petrol and it does all these miles to the gallon, this seems dead credible. And all these numbers that are all live, I mean, this proves that Starman's up there, right? And you can see exactly where it is because the website tells you. Just want to put that out there for those who believe anything to do with the heliocentric model that's based on a presupposition, because you can presuppose anything, but it don't make it true. Now, with regards to M. Scott Veach, in my RSS feed that I get emailed daily.
Before you do that, shout out to Rust Ahead in chat.
So just what I'm going to do, I'm just going to shut the door because I reckon the dogs are going to make a noise. So what we're going to do, I'll deal with on my RSS feed. I get an email daily, and I found this, and I think this is fantastic. Not the Granny Wins World Wrestling Championship. It's this on the top, first one. Watermark Chronicle, dated today. NASA employee dies in vacuum chamber accident. It says an employee from NASA has reportedly been killed in a testing facility in Dakota. According to our unnamed source, the 46-year-old is thought to have been in an astronaut suit testing a new range of suit for the upcoming expeditions into space. But it is claimed that he got into difficulties after a short time after the vacuum chamber was sealed shut. And by the time they were able to reopen the chamber, the unnamed male was dead. No official information has been released by NASA, but all our but our source reported that his eyeballs had been sucked from his head, implying this must have been caused by a failure of the suit of some kind. No spokesman for NASA was available when we contacted NASA for a comment. Well, this has come from the Reuters news agency, so it's obviously credible, and it's even got his YouTube picture on it, so it must be true. That'll be all.
Shocking, absolutely shocking.
So we need to see where we need to see where M. Scott Beach is. Does anybody know where M. Scott Beach is?
Well, that's why it's on the housekeeping. Thanks to Arwin.
Yep. I'm really curious where he is. It would be funny.
Arwen, did you think that newspaper article was credible? Seems legit, doesn't it?
Oh, I don't know.
It's from Reuters.
Reuters,
yeah, that's okay.
Reuters.
I've got Hooters on my head at the minute, on the mind. What about Starman, Arwen? Do you think there's a Starman in space that's running around on thousands of miles to the gallon?
Hold on, why are you picking on Arwin for Starman? What's going on?
I'm not. I'm just making the point that newspaper articles or anything that's on the internet doesn't necessarily doesn't mean it's true. That's all.
It mostly depends on the source. So, who was the writer?
The writer on that article was a guy called Alan B. No way.
Alan B.
I mean, what's the chances of that?
I think you'll find
Alan B's a writer, isn't he?
That's just an amazing coincidence.
And I wonder whether it happened yesterday with it being oh no, it would have been great if it was tomorrow, because wouldn't that have been like the 11th of September? Hang on, how did 9/11 work? Was it the 9th of September or was it the 11th of November? I can't remember which way around it goes.
It's very confusing.
It is, because they do it back to front to us. 9/11 for us is 9th of November, but to them I think it's the 11th of September. Can you imagine if the date was the 11th of September? Crazy.
Well, it will be tomorrow.
Should have waited until tomorrow. If this paper would have come out tomorrow, it would have been perfect.
It's the 11th of September every year.
Hey, Arwen, have you ever seen the Matrix?
You can't control these things, Anthony. You can't control what goes into the press. You know, you've got no control over it, have you, Anthony?
Oh no, not at all. I wonder what will be out in that same feed tomorrow, because with it being the anniversary, I bet it'll be really something dead coincidental. Somebody famous will have died or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, or the entire world will explode, or aliens will come from Mars, or whatever.
Ooh.
Or the Rumpus will have some evidence for R.
Right.
Pigs will fly, all that kind of good stuff.
Right. Hey, Ranty, you were asking a question before.
I just said, have you ever seen the film The Matrix?
No? What's that?
Have I?
Yeah, have you?
Oh my god.
Is it new?
Yeah, duh.
Does it just come out?
Can you... Huh?
Is it new? I've just a new one on me. I've never heard of it.
I'm sure everyone in chat's seen it, though.
To be honest, I've seen bits of it, and I can never keep with it because I lose it. Doesn't capture my imagination.
Arwen, you've seen it, he said. What date is on the passport of Neo's passport?
Oh shit, I don't know that by heart.
Go on, have a guess.
9/11?
9/11/2001. Dead on.
Serious?
Yeah, same as the guy in
Holy shit.
Enemy of the State. So the guy in Enemy of the State, the bad guy, he's got I think it's the same date of birth. It's on his passport or something when they're looking at him on one of the computer screens. The surveillance, the whatever they call him, the CIA equivalent.
Can you imagine that if there's got to be a lot of people out there that were actually born on 9/11? So confusing for them.
Yeah, but The Matrix came out before 9/11.
Yeah.
And The Matrix was about, essentially, you know, what it was about. And the only date they specify is 9/11/2001. Go figure.
That is
incredible. Back to the Future 1, the original Back to the Future.
But, hey guys, to be honest, the plan for 9/11 was laying in the paperwork for like 30 years, I think.
Yeah. In the demolition plans for the building, that was where it was established, as far as I know.
No, but just a plan for a self-created crisis has been around for a long time. And they just executed it on 9/11. But it was on paper before that. Just even with drawings of the Twin Towers with a plane flying towards one of them, like in the freaking picture, printed on the paper.
Ranty, have you seen the references to 9/11 in the original Back to the Future?
Project Northwoods. Thank you, Rasta.
Original Back to the Future? No, I haven't. Why? What was that?
Twin Pines, clock on the Twin Pines.
There's loads of them. There's about 15 references that are just too coincidental for them not to be planted. Google it. Look it up on YouTube later. Look for the 9/11 proofs in Back to the Future 1. It's just unbelievable.
Flat Earth map in the opening sequence. Did you not know that?
No.
I didn't catch what you said.
Azimuthal equidistant projection in the opening sequence. So as they pan around, he starts off with him like blasting out that amplifier.
Oh yeah.
And it scans around the like mad scientist's laboratory and shows all sorts of crazy stuff on the shelves and dotted around. But literally,
you're on about the scene where he's got the machine making the dog food and it's overfilling the
yes, that scene. Well, as it first pans around, you see an azimuthal equidistant projection.
No way.
It's a prop. It's not like a picture. It's a prop.
Oh, I love that. I didn't know that.
What? Where? What scene?
Back to the Future.
But what scene?
Where he's got Marty's dog's getting that automated feeding service and it's fucked up because Doc's got it wrong.
Oh, it's in the future, you mean?
No, the first one.
Yeah, but he does go to the future, right? Or no, wait, that's
just
the
go
second one.
Go back to the opening scene on Back to the Future.
The first sequence where he comes in, and within the first sequence, it ends with him rolling a skateboard into a box that says something like nuclear or radioactive, and it's got a big warning sign on it. But that's the end of that sequence. So that shot is, I think it might even be a single panning shot,
I gotta take a look
which
at
ends with his skateboard hitting a box that sends nuclear or radioactive or something like that. And then, like I say, he turns on all these amplifiers. That's the next part of the scene. But in the first section, you see an azimuthal equidistant projection, like a big round map.
John Watson says this is FE 101 apparently. Well, I didn't know about it.
I didn't know about it.
No? You newbies, that's all right.
I think John's a bit harsh. I'm just looking at the scene now. I'll describe what I can see. It opens up with all the clocks. Some, well, they're all analog, but like some of them look digital, but they're the analog version of the digital ones. Let's have a look. I'm looking for the clock, for the map. More clocks. Newspaper articles on the wall.
This is going to be riveting for the audience as you discover the AE map in Back to the Future for the first time. Riveting.
Some plutonium theft is being reported on the news, on the television. Failed experiments on the worktop. I'm looking for the AE map. It's coming, it's coming. Oh yeah, there's an AE clock on the wall. Is
it a clock? Oh, my bad.
Where the arm grabs the... yeah, it's a clock. It looks like it's got fingers on the clock.
Can you pause it on it? And I will screen share it because I'll get away with one shot. I won't get away with the moving image at all of Back to the Future, so don't play it, whatever you do.
Oh, okay, so I'll...
but if you can bring it to still, that's sufficient.
Is that what you're talking? Is it this one here that you're talking about?
Make it full screen. There you go.
Oh, shit. Damn.
Yeah, how would that be not planted if it was...
Yeah, I knew it was a prop. I couldn't quite remember what, but yeah, clock. As opposed to like a poster or something, or just a map on the, stuck on the wall. It's an actual physical artifact that someone will have manufactured intentionally to put into this scene.
And it definitely is the AE map as well, isn't it?
No, it's...
Yeah, it's an azimuthal equidistant projection by the looks.
It doesn't have the ice ring, though. It's more rather just...
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it does.
No, the ice ring is the outer rim.
The numbers, the clock.
No, but
numbers.
Is it exactly shaped like the outer
looks like
ring?
it. I mean, you can't really tell, but I think so. It looks like it from this angle. Maybe it's just a circle, but who knows? But either way, yeah, that would be what on that map would be the ice wall on an azimuthal equidistant projection. The outside ring is the Antarctic, or Antarctica just spread in the weird way that it's projected according to them to the outsides. But yeah, it looks like it. The numbers are sat on the ice rim.
It looks like 811 as well.
Hey, Jazzaconda. Can you hear us? Hello?
He does have an active sock account.
Let's get rid of him.
Okay. gonna be drunk anyway.
Bye. If that was you, Jazz, sorry. There you go. A map. Not that it matters. It's not a map of the world. There are no real maps of the world. If there was, we wouldn't have maps. We'd have a map.
Interesting. I didn't know that. And I didn't know that was considered to be Flat Earth 101.
I think it's just because it's been covered in the last 3 years. Probably by Russian vids. So I'm a fan of Back to the Future movies, and I didn't know it was there till I think Russian vids pointed it out.
Maybe I just keep forgetting. I don't know.
Yeah, and to be honest, wouldn't you expect back in that time period, wouldn't you expect there to be a globe at some point rather than... I know there are globes in it, but in that scene, if they were to put a prop, wouldn't you expect the prop to be a globe?
Not necessarily. I did know even a long time back that...
Doc Brown's thingy, isn't it? Isn't it? Oh, hang on. It might be Marty's garage. No, it's Doc Brown's workshop.
Yeah, it's Doc's workshop.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so I just assumed, okay, scientists or like freak scientists are typically interested in maps. That's what I thought back in the day, and now I know why, because there is a lot of interesting things going on with the maps, as we have well discovered with Flat Earth. So yeah, it's really funny to now see it with Flat Earth eyes. Fascinating.
I see we've been getting a bit of criticisms for not presenting enough flat Earth evidence, Nathan, because some of the Simon Dan's lot have been coming over, and in comments they've been saying, it's not very much debate, is there? All you ever do is criticise ball earthers. And it's like, well, there's 2 points to that. One, the ballers don't come in anymore. Seems to correlate with the lack of evidence because they can't present anything anymore because all of their evidence has been debunked. But also, it's not our assertion that we live on a sphere. And there's enough evidence to make us question whether that's actually true. And of course, the more we look into it, the more we realize that there is no evidence for a sphere. All the evidence is like ambiguous, and it relies on people like Sean to make it sound credible. Now, Sean has got the art of persuasion when it comes to arguing points that he needs to raise doubt on. But if you switch that round and make it into a subject matter where he needs to make a square into a sphere, then Sean's got that element of persuasion that dumb people that don't have discernment are able to react.
Oh, hold on.
Hello, Unbelievable. Hello.
I think that's a real person. Hey, Unbelievable Productions. How you doing? Give him a chance. Give him a chance. I'm pretty sure it's a real person.
Can't hear you.
Can't hear you. Mic's not working.
You have to plug your microphone in.
Just risk it. Leave him in. Hopefully he'll figure it out. If you're on a computer, wave your mouse over the screen. Go to the cog in the top that appears when you move your mouse and just set up your mic. If you'll get kicked, I'll just start a new one.
Right.
Was it you, Jazz? Did we kick you unnecessarily? Arwen, tell Nathan to pull his head out of his ass. I'll try and do that, Jazz. Was it you in the show earlier? Did we kick your active troll, or was it really you?
And to be honest, this time of the day, Jazz is normally drunk.
Stopping traffic in my Rasta hat says, Drunkaconda. Just as you said that.
Where is Late Night Booty Call?
Hello, try again, Unbelievable. No. No sound, no sound.
But I'm sure Sean Huffer can amplify the background noise and get it to say that you are making a sound.
I'm pretty sure we're talking through his mic right now.
Yeah, this isn't the sound of Unbelievable Productions. This is actually the background noise that Sean's going to amplify 10 times over and then claim that he's actually talking.
Did you say something about Simon Dan's things say that trolls say that we don't actually produce evidence for the flat Earth?
Yeah, I was going to invite you to present some, but then Unbelievable joined.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of, I mean, obviously this is debate, what, 469 now, so, you know, if you've only just joined the debates, you've missed a shed load. I suggest you go back and watch some of the evidences that we've produced, because they will blow your mind.
Hey, Nathan Collins Stewart from the text says, and you can debunk all the moon landing footage? Yeah. Do you want to tell them how we can debunk it, Nathan, without even talking about it?
Certainly. Let's just try Unbelievable first. Can you hear us? That'll be a no. Okay, well, there's a few elements to space itself. Number one, it is asserted that space is a vacuum. Number 2, it is asserted that you can travel between where we are now, Earth, and the Moon. That's why you're suggesting the moon landings are real. So we know that we can travel out of this system. Therefore, open system. Matter can transfer. So we've got space as a vacuum, something I've never experienced. Earth as an open system. Again, I've not experienced going out of Earth, so that's just speculative. But that's what's asserted. And we also have gas pressure, something we are all breathing. So we've got 3 elements. Gas pressure, Earth being in a massive vacuum, and a barrierless system. Now, given that that's the case, you can't have gas pressure without a container. So if it is asserted that Earth is an open system, how do we have gas pressure? Hi, physics warrior, how you doing?
Hey, Nathan. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello. Good to have you. So yeah, based on the fact that the very nature of space itself, a vacuum next to gas pressure, defies the second law of thermodynamics, it debunks the entire medium. You can't have gas pressure without a container. So, unless it's capable of demonstration, space is a load of nonsense. It is physically impossible to exist, the medium itself. There you go. That's it.
But Nathan, there was a rocket on the moon. We saw pictures.
Yeah, you can't have gas pressure without a container, and those pictures came by virtue of travelling through a medium that cannot exist.
I've been asked to shout out a guy called Fraudio Guy. Fraudio Guy is otherwise known as Sean Huffroad, is otherwise known as Hufford. He amplifies a load of background noise, passes it off as sound, and then expects people to believe it, not realising that there are people out there that knows that it's lies. So shout out to Fraudio Guy.
I'll give a brief explanation to that to the audience. So the people who defend the globe lie are people like Geo Strieber, Alexander Nicol, his name is, Sean Huffraud, or Fraudio Guy, and Soundly, otherwise known as the Geo Whisperer. So these 3 characters have basically colluded, in the first instance, to, what was the word Soundly used yesterday? Coach. So Geo Strieber, Alexander Nicol, is a retard and requires coaching from Soundly. And Anthony has caught on a hangout from December 2017 a contemporaneous conversation between Geo Strieber and his coach Soundly, with him getting information following a question from Alexander. So you have a situation where we have a recording of them communicating with each other, something that many people suspected but we had no proof of. The reason this has come into existence is because Alexander's microphone has a known issue for bleeding sound from the earpiece into the microphone. It's the first result you'll find if you search the manufacturer and model of his equipment. So we've got a known bleed issue causing this to happen in the first instance. When they've been confronted with the fact that Geo Strieber has most certainly been coached by Soundly during a one-to-one hangout between Anthony and Alexander, you have them denying it and introducing a third person, Sean Huffraud, or Fraudio Guy. So Fraudio Guy has then, with absolutely no industry experience, qualifications or skills, gone forth with a piece of audio software to muddy waters and claim 2 things. Number 1, Anthony's mic is actually where the sound of Soundly is coming from. Number 2, this sound is actually a hangout between Soundly and Sean Hufford. So at this point, Sean is essentially involving himself in this situation and also analysing it, making him about as biased as you could be, this amateur who has no industry experience, skills or qualifications. So that's the situation. They're claiming that Anthony is actually the one producing this sound. Further to that, Anthony has been contacted by a couple of actual sound engineers, professional sound engineers, with an education in sound and industry experience in sound, and they have analysed the audio recording also, only to find that there is a limited frequency range on Geo Strieber's mic, up to 9 kHz, and Anthony's mic, which is significantly better, has a frequency range of up to about, shout out to the Mind of God for the super chat, up to about 15 kHz. Therefore, even mouse clicks that are considerably quieter than the sound of Soundly come through at the extended frequency range that Anthony's mic can produce or can pick up. Therefore, proving beyond doubt that if the sound was coming through Anthony's microphone, it would indeed be at the extended frequency range of up to 15 kilohertz. Unlike GeoStreber's, when the sound is produced through the mic that has a known bleed issue, and there is a contemporaneous conversation between Soundly and GeoStreber, you hear that the mic has only got the 9 kilohertz range that Geo has, therefore proving beyond doubt it is Geo being fed by Soundly exactly as it sounds. Now this is, as Anthony put it yesterday, a segue that is unnecessary because they have made a claim that this is a hangout that they can't find. They've had, I don't know, 3 weeks to try and find this hangout, maybe nearly a month, and they haven't found it. It's their assertion that it's a hangout being played by Anthony. They've not found the hangout. Instead, they've gone forth to try and prove audio coming through Anthony's mic, which has been absolutely shattered by a couple of professional audio engineers who've proved beyond doubt that it is definitely coming through GeoStreber's mic. The mic with a known bleed issue, that is, and his mate in the background. So yesterday, Soundly, in his humorous way, laughing about it because it is as farcical as he says, claimed that it actually sounds to him like Anthony's being fed, or coached, as he phrased it, by him. So he's saying it sounds like I'm coaching Anthony. No. You are, Soundly this is, coaching Alexander Nickel, GeoStreber. You are frauds, you're liars, and you're being proven to be so. So that is the case currently speaking. The reason we've gone to these efforts, or the reason Anthony has specifically gone to these efforts with the microphone bullshit that they've introduced to Muddy Waters, is to show just how far the defenders of the globe will go to lie about anything. Not just the globe, which we know they lie about. We're flat earthers and we have to debate them with their disingenuous muddying of the waters on that score. But when it comes to their personality in general, they will lie and do lie and are lying through their back teeth now about a contemporaneous conversation, clearly blatantly a conversation between Alexander and Soundly when GeoStreber Alexander was supposed to be having a one-to-one hangout. Rather than just admitting it, yeah, I'm stupid and I need to be coached, they've lied about it indefinitely. Introduced co-conspirators like Sean Huffraud or Fraudio guy to muddy the waters and claim that Anthony's actually in the wrong, that Anthony's doing something that's unreasonable. Total and utter garbage. Being demolished as we speak. And every time they come forth and say, no, there's this other bullshit that we can muddy the waters and create a bit of reasonable doubt, we're going to come back again and smash these lying globeheads into the middle of next week. It's not going to end. The reason I've gone into such detail, there's plenty of people watching going, oh, this is boring now. It went from, nah, it's Anthony that's in the wrong. Sean's proved it. Oh, really? Well, amateur, inexperienced, zero qualifications Fraudio guy has been trumped by 2 professional sound engineers who have knocked his assertions out of the park, claiming that it's Anthony's mic is completely incorrect. These people are just liars. GeoStreber, Alexander Nickel, being the worst culprit of them all. He's keeping his head low and letting Soundly, the guy who was coaching him, and Sean Huffraud, Fraudio guy, basically dance a little dance to distract from the fact that GeoStreber's a lying sack of shit and is an idiot that needs coaching by Soundly, and after the fact has done nothing but lie through his back teeth about it and sort out assistance to cover up his deceit. So there we go. New guests have arrived, so I'll say hello to our new guests before I do anything else. So who have we got? We've got The Plain Truth. Was there another one? Have we got sound from you yet? Unbelievable. Do you want to give us a sound check? No. Maybe not.
So Nathan, basically GeoStreber's microphone was bleeding soundly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just, I thought it was funny that you started out saying it was bleeding sound. And it was actually bleeding soundly.
Yes. Soundly coaching GeoStreber.
Yeah, I know, it's just...
No, it's a play on words.
Yes,
Darwin,
exactly.
I get it.
I love
but I
that
want to keep.
stuff.
I get your play on words, Arwin, but I want to keep the details focused because we're dealing with scumbags, we're dealing with liars, and we can prove they're liars. So when it comes to somebody taking their assertions about the bullshit sphere Earth, their presuppositions of how it works, their models, and their assertions about what is reality, you can take it from us. They're liars. You don't need to listen to a word they say. Go out and check it out for yourself. Don't trust the words of GeoStreamer. Soundly especially is the biggest liar of them all. And Sean Huffraud. Fraudio guy.
It's hard to work out who's the bigger fraud.
Glean
Well, what may be
Mac-
classed as bottom feeders now when you've got people like Simon Dan who are crushing them with subs and such?
Oh
Wouldn't
yeah,
they be
these
the
guys are bottom feeders. People should pay more attention to people like Sour Mandan. In fact, I put out a video yesterday about how he's outperforming ABC, BBC and Vice News by some considerable margin. And a few people in the comments were like, have you ever seen anybody blow up? Well, these are just random videos of news. I'm like, oh, well, I'm sorry. I couldn't find any debunkings of no-name flat earthers to compare to Simon Dan's videos to make it fair. They only had mainstream news coverage of dying senators and ISIS. That's all I could find. So yeah, my bad for not being able to find debunkings of no-name flat earthers that have got 1 million views, or gate videos shot from someone's bedroom with the same backdrop as the last 3 videos. Yeah, my bad. It was a bit unreasonable that. Really, Dan should be going to ABC, BBC and Vice News and telling them where they're going wrong, because clearly he knows a lot better than they do. It's not that he's faking it. Nah. He just knows better than these news outlets with his gate debunking video. Clearly, he knows what the people want. Totally organic.
Right. So somebody in chat was saying Soundly is bleeding.
Soundly is bleeding soundly.
I just Soundly is bleeding.
What's really been weird for me is that as I've been going through this, because I knew that there was never a Hangout that I was listening to originally, I just knew that I wasn't playing a Hangout. But what I've realised that Sean's really good at doing is creating doubt by persuasively arguing a point that is fallacious, but doing it in a way that influences people that lack discernment or experience in audio. Now, I don't lack the discernment, but I do lack the experience in audio. But the people that trust and believe Sean are the people that both lack discernment and the experience in audio. And if you don't realize that Sean's deceiving you, or you find reason to believe Sean instead of the evidence that's presented, which is so strong that 2 independent guys that are sound engineer qualified, using 2 different pieces of software from 2 different companies that didn't previously know me, if you think that evidence is weaker than Sean's interpretation, which is only able to happen because he's added something like 40 or 50 decibels to the whole Hangout noise that lifts the background noise into what he now is classing as sound, then if you don't realize that that in itself is wrong, then you do lack the discernment, because you're taking Sean's word for it. But for me, what it demonstrates is Sean's quite intelligent in that he's able to persuade some people to have doubt when he makes his arguments. He's really good at arguing, but I just can't work out whether he's dishonest or whether he's just incompetent. But he's one or the other. He is wrong, but he does still influence some people. Now, I went through this with a bit of a roller coaster at times, because I didn't know whether that sound that we heard could have come through my mic at some point because of Sean's persuasion skills. Because it is possible that there might have been something playing in the background periodically if there was TV on or whatever, but I don't think there was. But thinking back to it now, I can't remember exactly whether I was sat in absolute silence, was there a radio on or whatever. But what I do know is that I wasn't being coached by anybody. But if you're on the other hand of this, on the other side of it, and you're GeoStreamer, you will remember that you had a conversation with me and Soundly was in it. Whereas I don't remember whether there was background noise because it's minor and insignificant. But if you were GeoStreamer and you did have somebody, you're not going to forget that. And that's why they're all hiding it, because he knows he's been caught by the short and curlies. But every conversation that they have, they twist it and make it sound like I've been debunked in some way, or I've got it wrong, or at least they've not been saying this time that I'm lying. I mean, I'm not. I don't remember exactly whether I could have had some noise in the background or not. As far as I recall, it was silent. Doesn't mean the radio wasn't playing. Doesn't mean that there wasn't a telly on in the other room. Doesn't mean that some other noise sort of sound might have bled through. But when you look at the analysis and then you listen, and then you compare what Sean's saying to the analysis, it's black and white. Sean's wrong. And what he's doing is he's amplifying the shit out of the Hangout to make the background noise that's native to the Hangout become sound. And then he's saying that that sound is my microphone. And that's completely fallacious. The sound that he's generating by amplifying the hell out of it isn't actually sound. It's still noise. And noise should be reduced to make it clear, not increased and put there to make it ambiguous.
The reason for this being done is to muddy the waters, and it takes it one step further away from their assertion that this is a hangout being played. In order to prove that, they need to actually provide the hangout. But that in and of itself is one step away from the bloody recording. We've got a recording of Soundly being asked a question by Alexander. He's asking him, GeoStreamer says, is it down here, right? And Soundly immediately responds, yeah, and go back to that citation of his. So it's absolutely contemporaneous, it's blatant. You've got a recording of them talking to each other. You know, to assume it's anything else is only because you've had someone like Sean take you to, well, let's not look at the sound of them talking. Let's amplify it and look at the background noise where it's not recording these people talking, and then make assertions based on it. It's just bollocks. The bottom line is we've got a recording of Alex talking to GeoStream, talking to Soundly. Got a recording of that. Now, if you doubt it, go and listen to the recording of him talking to Soundly. They're caught red-handed. They were caught red-handed from day one. The fact that they've even tried to defend this is an absolute outrage.
I agree, but they have to do it because one of their guys has made a mistake. It's been spotted and it's been challenged with evidence to support the assertion that something untoward might be happening here, and they've got to defend it. It's like when they get caught out with the Coriolis force. There has to be 2 frames of reference for the Coriolis force to exist. And when they pointed out the contradiction, they then argue that the bullet then creates a 3rd frame of reference rather than concede that there's a contradiction. But that then makes them look ridiculous, which is why George took 3 hangouts to try and explain this credibly, because he's like an older guy, sounds wise. But the reality is that he's talking utter garbage. Either the Earth moves under the atmosphere or it doesn't. If the Earth moves under the atmosphere, then you have Coriolis. But then you should have planes flying faster to the east than they do to the west. But if the Earth moves with the atmosphere, then you don't have Coriolis. So either way, they're fucked. But George won't accept it. So he has to come out with this really plausible, persuasive argument to the contrary that makes this new bit of science that George would then basically obfuscate the point with. But the fact remains that either the Earth moves with the atmosphere, so therefore flights would appear the way they do, but then there's no Coriolis, or then the atmosphere doesn't move with the Earth, then you do have Coriolis, but then we have a problem with planes. But that's the point gets obfuscated rather than addressed, and that's what happens. Sean's doing the exact same thing now. Rather than addressing the claim, he's obfuscating the truth. He's not arguing that I'm wrong. He's arguing that this noise thing that he's doing, it's the same thing as what George did. It's disingenuous.
Yeah, they're clinging to their belief. And they'll try and discredit you in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And it is disingenuous when you have experts in the field who are telling, and showing the audience very clearly that the noise was coming through somebody else's microphone, not yours. And it's like, it's just black and white. The evidence is there, but they will, rather than hold their hands up and admit it and move on, like you would expect, they do the same thing that they've employed with the ball Earth model for the past 3 years. When we have showed them evidence, right? They have clung to that ball like there's no tomorrow. They will not concede a single point. And they've taken over this mindset and they've moved it into other things now, which is this audio thing. And it's the same mindset. Do not concede a single point ever on anything, no matter what evidence is shown. It doesn't matter how good the evidence is. If you've asserted one thing, you stick to it and you do. Everybody backs you up and you do not concede it ever. And this is what they do.
But as a consequence of this newfound evidence that only surfaced, let's remember, this only surfaced when Jimmy made that wrong citation where he read words that were not in the citation that he was reading from, and I just happened to have it on screen and just happened to be looking at the exact point whilst it was on screen. When Jimmy made that citation, and then we realized that I realized that it affected the angular size calculation, and therefore I went back to GeoStreamer's Hangout to listen to it to see, did I make good points? Did he make any points that were worthy, retrospectively, that I could now use? I heard that little noise, and that's where it all came from. It came from Jimmy. Now, what's happened as a direct result of this is I've been made an honorary member of FE Core because I've provided evidence that these guys are liars. It's not just an opinion. It's not a perception. It's not subject to someone's interpretation. It's black and white. These guys are lying. And from people that are more skilled than me, I just gave them the information and I asked, could somebody fix it for me? And when somebody pricked their ears up and looked at it, realized that it's black and white and he's deliberately muddying waters, it's gold information to them. It's black and white that he's lying. So
Jimmy in the chat, another baller, also a baller who lies and has been proven beyond reasonable doubt to lie. He came in and declared in no uncertain terms that he was not using a voice changer. He hadn't come in under a different name. And then a viewer reversed engineered his voice changer, and it was just him talking in his normal voice. So after multiple denials, just proven to be another liar.
Can you share my screen, Nate?
Yeah, sure. You're up.
I wouldn't say this is one of the best videos that I've ever showed of the flat water looking across at Barrow in Furness, but for the point that we're going to be displaying it to these guys that have come over from Simon Dan's channel, it's worth showing, because everything that you see that's identifiable in this video should not be seen if you lived on a ball earth. It's as simple as that, right? So I have a 2-minute video here. I'm panning across the Irish Sea looking at distant objects. This object here, as I pan across, is actually in the water. It's the RNLI lifeboat station. You shouldn't see it. If the curve of the earth and gravity and all this nonsense about water conforming to the shape of a sphere, which has to happen on the ball earth model, there can be no getting away that water must curve. If it doesn't, you don't have gravity. You do not live on a spinning ball, right? So everything that you're seeing here, and bearing this in mind, because you've probably come over from the gaming industry and you're probably new to the debates, your model says, and all your heliocentric priests say, that everything that we see in this image is a hologram. It's not really there. It has been lifted up beyond the curvature of the earth and into the camera lens by means of refracting around the surface of the water. This is what your model says. So everything that you're watching now, when I play this video through, is a hologram. It's not really there. So you can either believe your own eyes and believe that what you actually see there, which is the RNLI lifeboat station. The next thing we come to, I believe, will be Peel Castle. So here we have Peel Castle. I'll just pause that there for a moment. There's Peel Castle. That should be all hidden. You shouldn't see that castle. It shouldn't be there, right? It's a hologram in your model. So when we provide evidence like this, right? When we show evidence like this, we get told by people like Sean Hufford, Simon Dan, and all this, everybody else, this isn't really there. This is a hologram. This lighthouse that's here, with the chimneys of the house hidden behind the sand dune that's there, this lighthouse shouldn't be seen. It should be on the curvature of the earth. But we see it. It is there, right? But in your model, it is loomed up beyond the curvature of the earth, right? This is what we have to contend with. So when we provide proofs and evidence, this town here, Barrow Town Centre, with the church, the steeples, Barrow Town Hall, the medical building, all this should not be seen. It's not there. Really, there should be a wall of water in the way. The buildings of Barrow, which we're going to come to in a minute, with Devonshire Dock Hall, etc., all this shouldn't be seen. It's not there. It's not really there in your model. But us flat earthers, we get called stupid and ridiculous and retarded for pointing this out, that we can go down to the beach with a half-decent camera, a P900, we can film across the bodies of water and we can see buildings in the distance. And it doesn't conform to your religion, your ball earth model. Your ball earth model says that these buildings should not be there. We shouldn't be able to see them, but we do. As simple as that. We see them because they're there. And your model says that these are a hologram. So this is what we contend with. This is why when we talk about these Sean Huffords and Sly Sparkanes, etc., we point this out and we don't get a response from them. These buildings, they look like they're there to me. Would you agree?
They are there.
This landmass that comes across here that's 30 feet high shouldn't be there in our model, in your model. In our model, it's there. It's a very clear day.
Sorry, no. Gotta stop you. Sorry, Auntie. Not in our model. In reality, we see this stuff because it is there. Visually, observably, obviously flat Earth. Because it's there. No explanation required. It's not there on our model. It's actually there. Now, when they say it's not there on our model, well, your model isn't the real world. The real world's obviously and observably flat. Your model might say it does something else. That doesn't make it reality. Reality is what this is. Obviously and observably flat.
Nathan, do you want to recite the words back from that black and white citation that Simon Dan said, where that guy was writing on the board and he was showing the maths? Do you remember what he said?
No. Oh, you mean conspiracy cats?
No, Simon Dan. In his video, the bloke wrote on the blackboard and he said, he said words to the effect of them.
Okay, if it doesn't agree with experiment, then it's wrong. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
In essence, if you're going to claim a model because it's predictive capabilities, then you're akin to claiming it's science. Models aren't science, they're pseudoscience. What you do to validate causes of obstruction when they claim that that proves the globe Earth is with science. And all of these globe heads think, incorrectly, that they are backed by science. So, what we have been asking for, and this is why we've got an empty, no globe head panel, is science. Well, let's see your science. Oh, well, here's our science. Oh, let's just point out to you, globehead, that's not science. This is science. Do you understand science? Clearly not. Come back with science. Have they come back with science after being demolished based on their parlour tricks, their pendulums, their Cavendish balls? We've smashed this stuff to pieces. It's not science. So, have they come back with science? Of course not. You've got to be joking.
Ranty, it's worth reminding people that the distance here is 18 miles. Is that right?
It is.
So 18 miles represents the same distance that Soundly got with his Pontchartrain evidence that he makes the Earth look like a basketball. So if what Soundly presents is real at that distance, Ranty should get the same effect without the pylons or bridge. We should see the effects of curvature. And obviously we're not seeing that. None of these buildings should be seen.
This is 18.4 miles, but what I want you to pay attention to is that if these buildings are being loomed up, then there has to be a cut-off point on the mountain behind it, where the original mountain would meet the cut-off point of the refracted buildings being lifted up. If you look at the smoothness of this mountain going up, you can see the colours, the contrast. There's no looming there. It is ridiculous to even think that buildings can be loomed up beyond a curvature. It's never been proven, never been showed, but they still assert it. So,
can you tell us how much of them buildings should be seen if we live on a sphere?
None. 18.4 miles gone.
Right, guys, can I just point something out? In my chat, after the show is finished, we get the comments below, and there are quite a number of globe heads that come along and have answers for everything, right? Now I'm going to read you, given that you've been talking about this for a good 5 minutes, and the chat, I'm going to read the current chat, what's going by now from people who think they live on a sphere and have all the answers in the comment sections. People like Daniel. Is he addressing what you've got on screen now? No. He's talking about heavy trees. Yeah. We've got Jimmy. Is Jimmy talking about what's on screen now? No. He's claiming I'm lying to you based on a video Cat Earth's put out. Nick. Just a load of question marks. What else we got? Give me a minute. Don't let me come off this. So
hello, the way.
Hold on, Arwin, hold on. I'll just hijack my point. Why not? Because I'm scrolling.
The way back. Speak the way back.
Yeah. Hello.
He's here.
Hey.
So we've got a few others. We've got Nathan O, Nathio, Natheo, another prevalent commenter, claims to have the answer to everything. There won't be a perfect curve on every part of the globe. Oh, really?
What?
Is that your rebuttal?
What water is resisting the force of gravity and not being pulled into a ball? Is this guy for real?
So Nick, Jimmy, is a confirmed liar. Lol. Not addressing what's on screen, Nick. None of them are. I don't see any of them addressing what's on screen. Jimmy, yeah, I can be confirmed I lied about a voice changer. Yes, we know you lied, Jimmy. We proved you lied. You are a liar. We know.
Yeah.
So none of them are addressing the fact that you've got flat earth proof on screen, absolutely demolishing an assertion that a model conforms to reality. This is reality. The earth's flat. None of the globe heads are addressing this in the chat. Not one. Oh, Daniel says refraction. Well, Daniel, you idiot. Your refraction is 76R, terrestrial refraction, and you have no proof of R, Daniel. You complete idiot. To assert something that needs proof of R would make you a moron. Let's see what else now I've triggered them by pointing out no one's actually addressing it. Jimmy again. Nathan is lying to you, not addressing what's on screen. Mong Patrol, always prevalent in the chat. Gimps, not addressing what's on screen. Are any of them addressing what's on screen?
And what we are showing here is flat water. This is flat water, and you cannot have flat water in your model. So you negate that by saying that these buildings are being loomed up in proportion and curving around the obviously and observably curved water, which you can see here because it's very curved, isn't it, everybody? You can obviously see that these buildings are being curved around it, yeah? But yet the mountain behind isn't changing at all. It is keeping its entirety. It is not changing at all.
Hey, Ranty.
Yes.
Daniel says, take pictures on different days with different atmospheric conditions.
There's been dozens. Look, let's just point it out again. There's been criticism there's not enough flat earth proof. On screen now, flat earth proof. We've got Jimmy asking about the stars. This is what they did when they were on the panel. They had nothing. So they try and distract away from what is blatantly, obviously, and observably flat. They got nothing. Literally nothing when it comes to actual observations of reality. They just make crap assertions. Unbelievable garbage. Few people asking what the observer height is. That's the best you can do.
6 feet.
6 feet.
18.4 miles.
Jimmy, this doesn't need to be scientific evidence, you buffoon. It's a concrete noun. We're not looking at phenomena, Jimmy. We're just looking at buildings that are there. I don't have to stand next to a building and then decide how to prove it scientifically. It's a concrete noun. You, Jimmy, are a retard who thinks the model says it shouldn't be there. Therefore, this is an observed phenomena. It's not. It's just a building. We don't require to validate just looking at something scientifically, Jimmy. Not at all. We just see it because it's there. We have the simplest explanation there is for this stuff. We just see it. You, on the other hand, as a globe-head retard, needs to make it a phenomena. It's appearing from beyond a curve we don't see because a pseudoscience model that I bow down to and worship says so. You're a retard. Let's have another quick read, see if anybody else has got any explanation for this.
Hey, Nathan.
Oh, here we go. Bullshit, 6 feet. No, not bullshit, 6 feet. Can you not see what's on screen?
Don't know my work,
do you want to show the level that you're standing on with your mouse?
Oh, these guys don't know my work, do they?
Show where you're standing.
Oh, right. It's probably on the next video. I'll have to go out and find it all. But I'm on the beach, and I've measured this height of this stanchion. So lining it up with the horizon, I was able to get a very accurate height above sea level.
For people claiming that we don't know the height, this has been done to death, measured constantly, loads of times on dozens of different videos. If you want to assert that he doesn't know the height, then you're just disingenuous. You don't have an answer other than to claim his height. We've had that 8 months ago, and we've dealt with it.
Do you want to do that one at night time from Barrow at 20 miles, was it? 20 and 22 miles, and we're seeing the band playing on the beach, on the promenade.
Let's see if I can find it. Let's see. Barrow, Blackpool, that will be it, won't it?
Hey, good morning, y'all.
Sorry, Ron Burgundy. I see water there, blocking all kinds of shit in 80% of Ranty's videos. Sorry, is water blocking something in some way an indication of curvature? See, I would call curvature an indication of curvature.
Hang on a
You're
minute.
talking about obstruction. Now, despite the fact that I know people who wanted to jump on me and say that's nonsense, I know it's nonsense, Anthony. The point is that the only thing they ever have is to claim that something being obstructed by something else is actually Earth curve. It isn't. Curve is curve, obstruction is obstruction, and you can easily account for obstruction with atmospheric effects and Airy's diffraction, something we have also demonstrated. Have we had any comeback for that? No. Have we had any comeback for when they actually claim that that obstruction is Earth curve? It's using a perspective hijacking, proof of nothing, begging the question curve calculator. Has anybody come back after that, after we handed Mick West his own arse? No? surprisingly few people coming on with curve calcs since we obliterated Mick West and his bullshit proof of nothing, are assuming, perspective hijacking, curve calculator. No retards have come on since with that because it doesn't prove curve. Obstruction isn't curve, especially when you beg the question and assume R and then insert calculations that ignore the very nature of capturing a photograph of anything, i.e. perspective. Sorry, so far we've got nothing but fails from people who think that we're not presenting flat earth proof here. We are.
Anybody that calls out an obstruction, that goes against their model because you shouldn't see curvature standing on the earth.
Here we go. Ron Burgundy's response to this flat earth proof that we are presenting. You are a hypocrite, imbecile child abuser. Excellent rebuttal.
Wow.
So you've got nothing then, Ron. Got nothing. Absolutely nothing. I'd say G on the end of nothing if I didn't have a cold. You've got nothing.
Ron Burgundy, that dude's a coward. He talks smack to everybody.
I got Jimmy again. 2 pole stars. Sorry, Jimmy. Do you see any pole stars on screen, or do you see the obviously and observably flat earth we all dwell atop? We're not talking about stars. Yet another wanker's distraction from the flat earth proof that's on screen.
Nathan, question from chat. Who was it? Daniel asks, quote, Nathan, can you describe how perspective works precisely? Be precise.
Yeah, angular size reduction at distance. As you walk away from things, they reduce in angular size. That's perspective.
Yeah, simple.
And I just want to point out that Blackpool Tower is sat atop the ballroom. The ballroom obviously is not lit up because it is a very dull, dark building. The illuminations are on underneath at street level. The curve calcs, the 8" per mile squared, begging the question, curve calculator says that approximately 120 feet should be missing from this direction. What do you know? 120 feet is literally the height of the ballroom that's beneath Blackpool Tower. So you can take a line from where the Blackpool Tower is lit up, and anything beneath that you shouldn't see. So all these street lights, the concert that's playing here, the concert that is playing on the sea wall, you shouldn't see any of this. All these lights that are low down, they shouldn't be there. They should be gone beyond the curve. Your 8" per mile squared.
So again, let's put this into perspective. We have people like Slice Barkane and all those morons that tell us that we live in a sphere, right? But if that's true, and Soundly's observation at Pontchartrain is evidence of curvature, then we should see the same thing here. We should see that small curve, like basketball-sized curve, and none of this should be seen. However, when we go and do it ourselves, doesn't turn out to be the case. Why not?
Tell you why not. Because the Earth is obviously and observably flat. And with that, I'm going to say first and foremost a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. And of course, a massive thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. If you hated the show, probably because you're a glober and you hate seeing obvious and observably flat Earth, then you know exactly what to do. But if you like the show, maybe consider sharing it with a friend or subscribing if you've not done so already. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!